Welcome to Setting the Stage. I'm Brooke Savage. Pirates Dinner Adventure has a new show. It's called In Search of Neptune's Treasure. Nick Kroger is the creative director of Orlando Dinner Entertainment. He's here to tell us all about it. Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, let's start off, get to know you a little bit more. How did you get into the entertainment industry?
Oh my gosh, how does anyone? I think, you're born for it. So it started at a young age, grew up in a little tiny town in Minnesota. And I just had the ability to sing my face off even at 6, and very curious about stuff like that. So my parents recognized that and fostered it. And I just went on to, primarily at first was a singer. And I traveled as I went to high school part-time, and the rest of the year I would travel mostly throughout Europe singing. And then I saw people do this thing called musical theater. And I thought, I could do that. And so, I've kind of become, my history is musical theater or straight plays, and that's where it's evolved. Then eventually becoming curious about writing and producing and directing. So the last chunk of my performing career up to now, I've been able to be on that side of the table and have enjoyed that immensely as well, and look for opportunities, to perform where there's time, but there generally isn't in life, is there? But that's my background. I've just been performing since I was a young kid, and just have been able to do some really great things touring and locally and nationally, and I feel very blessed to still at my age be using my talents and my gifts doing something that I love a whole lot.
I love it. And so how long have you been in Central Florida and on the creative directing and producing side of things?
I have now lived in Central Florida longer than I lived in my hometown where I grew up. So I think it's pushing 35 plus-ish years that I've been in Central Florida, and initially came down as a performer and doing what everyone does, and that gig life of trying to work at 4 or 5 different parks or dinner shows to make a life and get known. And then about the last 15, maybe 17 years, have been doing more of the writing and directing and producing.
I hear about this a lot. People come to Central Florida for our entertainment industry. Are you saying that's what you did?
I'm going to be really honest with you. It was 50-50. I was going to the West Coast from Minnesota, or I was coming to Orlando. And at the time I was dating a girl that had just gotten a contract singing at Epcot, and I tagged along. And so that's the honest answer. Didn't end up with that girl. Have a lovely wife now and kids, but that was one of the reasons I came down. I was smitten.
It's kind of funny how things end up turning out,
Yeah.
What do you love most about your job?
I just love that it's not the same every day, and I'm somebody who doesn't like to waste my time, so I don't like to do things in vain. But when you're being creative, you wear several different hats. What is the public's perception? Whether it's social media or whether it's the show itself, or how do we brand and market ourselves? I'm involved in all those aspects. Anything has to do with creative works and public perception and branding. And so I love that it's different every day. I have 5 or 6 different hats that I wear, and it could be these 2 today, and by Friday it's the other 2. And I just think that's dynamic, and I like fostering another generation, whether it's my sales managers, in sales and marketing, or whether it's my performers. We talk about legacy and what's your legacy, and I love being able to look at someone successful and see maybe 1 or 2 of my fingerprints from their time with me. That's what I think legacy is, and raising up the next generation of great leaders, great marketing, social media, and performers. So that's kind of my payoff, and that's what I really enjoy, is just watching people excel. Even if it's not with me anymore, I can go, and hopefully I have fingerprints on my life from them as well. Yeah.
I love that. We do a lot of that here at News 6, honestly. So I have to imagine the performers must really appreciate that you have an acting background.
Yeah, I'll take it one step further. Even the Reba brothers, who started this all, they're from Barcelona. They are so creative and amazing, and still at the helm, helping us push forward and do some innovative and great things. One of the wives, Christina, is a former performer, and I know that even working on creating things, having that mindset of that performer in that realm is such a benefit. So I can only imagine, as a performer, it does give you some peace of mind and some reassurance that, okay, they understand where I'm coming from or why this doesn't feel right, and I appreciate being able to have both sides of that room, if you will, to draw from, both from a business perspective, but then I do understand the performers, especially the uniqueness of performers here in Central Florida, because it's really unlike anything other than maybe LA, because they have some of the same parks, but it's a gig life. You're doing dinner theaters, musical theaters, theme parks, to make a living and to survive here. And so I think they appreciate, and I appreciate, being able to speak into that area of their life as well.
Exactly. And Pirates Dinner Adventure has been around for nearly 30 years.
Yes.
What goes into putting on a new show? Tell us about that process.
Well, this time around, we had the unique opportunity, the moons and the stars and everything just lined up perfectly, so that a former performer who was a gig performer, almost 30 years ago, that helped kind of craft the script with the Reba's ideas, the Reba brothers, and we brought him back as a guest director, and we reworked the script. There's a little nod to the original, and then brand new elements, and kind of rearranged the flow. So it's a lot of rehearsals. I mean, it's writing at number one, then it's rehearsals, and then it's dealing with a tech department, which one of the things I love is relighting, and then what are we going to do for special effects? And so it really is a team effort, and we have created, I think, I call it a new adventure. Same characters you love, maybe a little bit more well-defined, and you might know them a little better, just on this new adventure. And so I think it's been a wonderful process. I enjoy, maybe that's the performer in me, I enjoy that rehearsal process and that creating and growing something, up from scratch.
Exactly. So was it like someone was like, hey, we should do a new show, or? Yeah,
the Reba brothers said, hey, what about, they're always thinking. And when you have creatives, true creatives, it's pretty amazing, what you can get from it. It can be frustrating at times because you're like, no, but you respectfully are giving your opinion. And I just am very fortunate to be able to work so closely and so happily, if you will. There's just true camaraderie. I said it wrong. What is it? Joint effort. It's early. Between us and that respect. And so it makes it so enjoyable to create, with them. But it was kind of their idea. It stemmed from them. And, it's time for a new adventure. And then, of course, from a sales and marketing position, I'm not going to pass that up, because I can promote, and we can update the branding, and we can just, full force, almost reintroduce it to a whole nother generation of people here locally and the tourists that are visiting.
Exactly. And so you guys actually do several type shows. You were doing Vampirates last
Yeah.
year. So how often do you change shows?
Well,
is there a rotation? What's going on?
A little bit. Pirates is our main show and the longest running. And then we will put a filter on that. The demographic here in Orlando, as opposed to our location in LA, is drastically different. LA has a lot of locals. It's become tradition. Here in Orlando, of course, we have the local market, but it's a lot of tourists. So coming to Orlando, they expect the traditional pirate show. So what we do here in Orlando is, for the holidays, be it Christmas, Halloween with Vampirates, we put a filter overlay over the traditional show. So we feel like we're satisfying the expectation of the tourists that have come, but yet we're giving them just enough flavor. It could be something just changing the pirates to vampirates and giving it that feel decor-wise and lighting. At Christmas, I have a Santa that zip lines in to scold Captain Sebastian at the end. It's just enough of a hint to make people feel whatever that season is. And then additionally, at the compound there, we have other types of shows that we run weekly as well.
So you mentioned Orlando being mostly tourists. I think I heard about this. Do you have any regulars who also attend the show?
Oh goodness, yes. And we're, not to say that we don't have the trustworthy locals. It's just if you were to demographically break it down, we have a bit more of a tourist base than an LA does. But our local market, especially in the last 10 plus years, has grown, and we have the faithfuls, and they come and they are dressed in pirate gear, and they know the cast and who is their favorite pirate, and that's a dream, yes, for someone in my position. They're identifying with, they're holding close to their heart that character. Little girls that have now brought their kids, to see the princess and our new spin on the princess. She doesn't stay a princess. This day and age, I really wanted to make her strong. So she has a journey and a transformation, and she's pretty rough and tough and can hold her own by the end of the show. So to give that to a little girl or little boys and just, it's pretty amazing. There's characters that you truly lock on with.
That's awesome. So how often do these regulars come? Are they once a month, once a week?
It just depends on. I have some people that come every month, or vacation people that come to Orlando, year after year after year, a couple times a year that they come and show up. I have little groups of people that will book group outings, that are fans of it. We recently did a huge gala to open the new adventure at Pirates, and I had former cast members that were there kind of original. So you've got people that have followed them, that came as well. So it's a tradition. We've become a tradition and a part of memory making, for lots and lots of families. And even as they have grown now, almost 30 years, and are bringing their kids. So I think that's kind of cool. And that speaks a lot about the success of the shows that we put on there.
That is so cool to hear. What can we expect from In Search of Neptune's Treasure?
In Search of Neptune's Treasure is the newest adventure. Of course, they're pirates, and they're always looking for treasure. But I feel like in this show, you get a little bit more understanding of each of the unique personalities of the pirates, and even Captain and his wife Treasure. We have McGee, the princess, and we have a gorgeous mermaid. And even more so now, I remember thinking about it over the weekend, they really are like this family. The characters in our show, and they have triggers, and they, don't get along, and they all react different, and they resolve things differently. And so I think this version and this adventure, we've flushed out a little bit more of the characters, so you have more to identify with, or more to say, oh my gosh, they act just like my brother, that make you love them even more. And so that's one of the biggest things. But they're looking for Neptune's treasure. I don't want to give anything away, but just like the princess's journey, this has got a journey for some of our characters that they evolve to become more here than what they were in the beginning. And I'll let you come find out who that is and what it is, but I just think it's great. I think we have more of an arc of story, and I think some of the special effects and the lighting we've completely done, and changes of music, new aerial act that our green pirate and our mermaid, do, and it's pretty amazing. It's pretty, I've never seen, and I've worked in lots of theaters my whole life, the set that we have to work with. When you step in, and it's a full-size replica, of an 18th century Spanish galleon ship with moat surrounding it. It's kind of impressive. And if you've been there a while, you kind of take for granted as a performer, this is a cool set, So it's pretty, I think people are in awe when they walk in and are like, whoa, it's a lot more than I think people imagine.
I completely agree. I know you don't want to reveal too much, but what is your favorite part of the show?
Specific favorite part? Well, we've focused a little bit more on the mermaid's transition between human form and mermaid form, and why that happens and when it happens and the reason behind it. So that's one of my favorite parts. Of course, it also involves some special effects and lighting, which I love. And so we've transformed that. And that's one of my favorite parts. The princess is also one of my favorite parts. Her journey of transformation from, almost spoiled little rich girl, being captured, to what she evolves into being and how strong she is. I love that because I see, as I watch the audience, lots of women, young ladies, little girls, little boys, whoever, identify. And I think it kind of makes them feel stronger and like what they're able to accomplish. And then you're making memories for people. So I think the memory making and a couple of those transformation moments are really key, and I enjoy them very much.
I love that. And what is some of the positive feedback you've received on it?
They love it. I think we've taken, over 30 years, you can, add weight, not to just yourself, but to a show. So we had the opportunity to go in and go, okay, this slows it down, that can come out, this can come out, and replace it with this. And so I feel like it's more concise. I feel like it's, you don't feel like you've sat there forever. It runs about an hour and 30 minutes, maybe hour and 40 with some of the pre-show antics. And so I think it's the perfect length. It leaves them wanting just a little bit more, but people love the action and the adventure. And then the other thing, I think we helped create this genre, but the immersive experience. You get involved in the show. We're using you to help us sail. We're using you to help us gather the gold. The kids have an opportunity, to be up on that ship. And, so the immersive experience to this day it remains the number one thing people post about, take pictures of, and talk about.
That is so true. That I think I was like in that kid's part
Yeah.
at one point
Yeah.
when I've seen the show.
Yeah.
And so I have a fun question since you have a performance background.
Okay, scare me.
If you could play any character in the show, who would it be and why?
Let me tell you a secret. I have played characters in this show. I have been McGee, and I actually have played Captain Sebastian the Black, both here and in our LA location. I like them both. My natural go-to in my sleep is comedy, Nathan Lane kind of quality. And so my McGee I love him for that. I'm not 20 and McGee runs around a lot. So I'm like, only in emergencies if you need a McGee. Captain, I love because it's so different from me. He's got his quirks. He's a little bit dark. Think of Scar from, another movie with a tad bit more humor. I like the Captain. He's complicated. He has issues. He has insecurities, and he tries to cover them with being boisterous. So I have to say, I kind of like playing the Captain.
I love that.
Yeah.
Have you made any cameos?
I almost had to make one this coming weekend due to scheduling from my director position. But yeah, I will. I like to jump in. And, that's just part of who I am. And I have the luxury of, several shows on property that I've done characters in that, every now and then I like to pop in, put myself back in those shoes for my own personal, joy of it. And then it keeps me connected with my performers and keeps me connected with what's working with an audience from the stage. You immediately know that. So my unique setup is pretty cool. I get to play a little and work a lot and do a lot of things, yeah.
Well, I could definitely see your passion behind the show. Is there anything else you want to mention about it?
We're doing some great things for our Florida residents for the rest of the year that they can check out. It gives them a little bit of a break on the rate, but our food, we've revamped our food. It's amazing. Everything from the meal that kind of comes with it to upgrade to that famous, giant-sized turkey leg, or even surf and turf, steak and lobster. So we give you a lot of options. I feel like in the realm of dinner theater here in the country, the choices at Pirates in particular is just out of this world, and accommodating the kids with the comfort food and the things they like. But I think that the look, the feel, the food, and the opportunity to make memories is just incredible, and you'll find no other place like it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, again, In Search of Neptune's Treasure is happening at Pirates Dinner Adventure. I also post the details on clickorlando.com/settingthestage. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. It was great to spend some more time with you.